Welcome back to Nuclear News, where we stay on top of the fundamentals of the nuclear energy space, the emerging nuclear renaissance, the uranium supply crunch, and everything in between. So let's start with price action. Sprott Uranium Miners ETF up 13.5% year to date. The Sprott Uranium Junior Miners ETF up 20% year to date. And then we have the S&P 500 only up 6%. So why are uranium assets massively outperforming the rest of the stock market? Well, to start, we have the biggest uranium asset, Cameco, doubling 2023 sales prices compared to a year earlier. So the assets that control uranium are making an absolute fortune right now, right? Either you're looking for uranium, you have a lease to explore to find uranium, or you own uranium in the ground. Either way, you are making a lot of money, right? Your balance sheet going up. The value of these assets continues to climb as the spot price continues to climb. And in Cameco's case, geopolitical tensions are driving new global uranium customers to us, says the Cameco CEO. So because the West is moving away from Russia, Cameco is almost a one-stop shop. So just unbelievable fundamentals for that asset. And guess what? The industry experts at Cameco gave us a deep dive and their insights into what is actually going on in this space. Very few teams on the planet are as well informed about what is going on with the uranium supply demand setup as Cameco, right? These are insiders. And so let's look at their presentation, their conference call, and see where we are in this space currently. Well, this slide shows uncovered requirements, right? So Cameco is giving us an update. They had their conference call last week. And so what we can see is the total required uranium is about 200 million pounds per year. So that's about 4 billion pounds out to 2040, right? That black line. Pretty solid, but increasing. And what you can see is the industry experts at Cameco showing total uncovered requirements. So up until 2040, we're talking 2.2 billion pounds of uranium. No, where no one, including the industry experts at uranium, knows where it's going to come from, right? There's that much of a supply demand gap. And look, again, 2024, that is where we are currently. We've seen the prices skyrocket over $100 per pound, right? That's with the blue line where it is in 2024. What happens when it hits 2025, 2026, 2027? Again, this is a projection based on all known estimates, all known sources of uranium. We did talk about this last week, but it's such an important point. It's probably the most important point when it comes to investing in uranium. So at the same time as all this is happening, Cameco is saying risk is shifting to uranium customers. There's an uncertain supply, right? Clearly, there's a massively uncertain supply. Low prices for the last few decades resulted in supply curtailment, not enough investment, end of reserve life, lack of investment in supply development exploration, global supply chain challenges, in addition to origin risk, geopolitical trade policy issues. We're talking about banning Russian uranium and development risk, unproven assets, cost inflation, and schedule delays, increasing regulatory and ESG scrutiny. So now customers are scrambling for uranium. And guess what? They're going to continue to scramble for uranium as this blue line gets wider and wider and wider. This is such an important point. So that's the supply situation. And the reason it's a problem is because it takes so long to get this stuff out of the ground. Uzbekistan plans to boost uranium production, but have reduced their planned production target from doubling to a lowered 1.5x increase by 2030. They can increase their output by 1.5x by 2030. It takes a long time to get this stuff out of the ground clearly, right? So again, all the industry knowledge is saying that there's going to be an exponential $2.2 billion supply gap by 2040. Now, this is the demand, right? That's supply. This is demand. Evolution of nuclear power generation by region, looking out to 2026, about to hit an all-time high. We literally hit a plateau from 1999 until now, and we're just starting to pick back up. That's what Cameco is saying. The supply has just been so scarce because we've been in a uranium winter. Well, we are getting out of the uranium winter quickly, right? That's why this show is so exciting. Uranium, Cantor Fitzgerald increases spot price target to as high as $150 for uranium. Makes sense because these desperate customers Cameco is talking about are going to have to pay whatever they need to pay to keep their plants running. Nuclear power officially labeled as a strategic asset for EU's decarbonization. They're not just calling it a green asset, they're calling it a necessary and strategic and important asset required for EU's multi-billion dollar decarbonization. So they're pumping billions of dollars into uranium and into nuclear energy production. Iran, one of the most oil-rich countries on the planet, starts work on 4 nuclear reactors. So they're looking at expanding into nuclear energy generation as well. South Korea leads the charge in nuclear-powered shipbuilding, just getting started with having small modular reactors power these enormous cargo ships. We're in the early stages of this brand new revolutionary technology. And so I think that model is probably conservative because it doesn't factor in this brand new, hard to project revolutionary technology that is SMRs, small modular reactors. European Commission launches industrial alliance on SMRs, calls for more emission cuts by 2040. And so Brussels recognizing potential role for small reactors in decarbonization efforts, right? We're still in the potential role phase, not the definite role phase. USA's Project Phoenix to support Slovenia SMR study. The US supporting the expansion of nuclear power and small modular reactors globally. Agreement signed for planned UK fleet of AP300 reactors. We're talking about a fleet of them. Westinghouse signed an agreement with Community Nuclear Power Limited for the construction of 4 SMRs in the North Teesside region of Northeast England. It would be the UK's first privately financed SMR fleet, right? We're talking private funding, we're talking public funding, we're talking a wall of capital streaming into the space. So we're still in the early stages. So much to stay on top of as this brand new technology gets rolled out and the nuclear renaissance gets accelerated and the uranium supply crunch gets accelerated.